Hey everybody, I'm gonna be going over Revelations chapter 1 verse 10 to 18. And what this is, I kind of wish that I had my iPad available at the time, because at the time when Pastor Senior passed the sermon over these verses, but I did the next best thing and I highlighted them, or I outlined them as soon as I got home, so I knew where it was that he was preaching over. And what it is, it's a verbal description of what Jesus looks like in heaven. Yeah, and he 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 preached over it though. He and I wish I would have paid more attention. I have trouble paying attention sometimes. Yeah. So, but I'm gonna try to go over it anyway, because I mean it's Jesus. It's what he looks like in heaven, and I think that's fascinating stuff. And I'm not expecting to pull off what Pastor Senior pulled off, but I'm gonna go over it anyway. Okay, right here, verse 10 from Revelation to chapter 1. Man, I'm gonna start yawning again. I just woke up. I just woke up right now. Let me see what time it is. 2:16. Man, okay. Here we go. This is John the Apostle wrote the book of Revelations, by the way. Yeah. Okay, here we go. I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day and heard behind me a great voice as of a trumpet. Man, the way he describes things, it just fascinates me. Like a great voice as if it was a trumpet. How can a voice, someone's voice, sound like a trumpet? No, I believe him. I believe him. But like, what I'm saying is this is all stuff from heaven, and it's fascinating. I mean, how can that happen? Oh, let me see something. Okay, just the way it talks about and describes stuff in heaven, it just fascinates me. Okay, never mind. There's something going on with my iPad, and I can't get it off. Well, anyway, I'm just gonna leave it there. I don't think it'll come out in the recording and the actual video. I mean, um, yeah, it fascinates me, stuff like that. He heard a voice as of a trumpet. It just fascinating stuff. Anyway, Revelation. Okay, this is verse 11, saying, "I am Alpha and Omega." Okay, this is the voice that sounded like a trumpet, and this is what the voice said, saying, "I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last, and what thou seest, write in the book and send it unto the seven churches which are in Asia, unto Ephesus and Smyrna and Pergamos and Thyatira, and unto Sardis, and unto Philadelphia, and unto Laodicea." So these are all the seven churches of the time. Most of them are like in the area where Turkey is, the modern day Turkey. Back then it was in Turkey. It was I think it was all Greece, but things change. Okay, and I turned to see the voice that spake with me, and I turned to see. Oh, now I'm getting frustrated. Oh man, Let's see if I can get through this. Ugh. And I turned to see the voice that spake with me, and being turned, I saw seven golden candlesticks. And I turned to see the voice that spake with me, and being turned, I saw seven golden candlesticks. Hmm, seven of them. I wonder if it's those. What do you call those candlesticks that the Jews use during Hanukkah? Um, you know you carry it by one handle, and on top there's seven candlesticks kind of going up. I think y'all know what I'm talking about. Seven golden candles. I think it's one of those. Now I'm gonna be racking my brains as to what that's called. It's called. Is it called a menorah? Hmm. Let me look it up. Here we go. What are the seven golden candlesticks, lampstands of Revelations? Oh. As mentioned, these candlesticks were made of gold, the most precious and valuable of all metals. Man, it's going deep into symbolism and everything. Doesn't say what the candlestick. I I'm just gonna leave it at that. There were seven golden candlesticks. Okay. Oh, all right. And in the midst of the seven candlesticks are like unto the Son of Man, clothed with the garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. And girt about the paps with a golden girdle. What are paps? I'm gonna look this verse up in another version of the word. Paps. I call my dad Pappy sometimes. Okay, let's see. Revelation 1 verse 13. Verse 13. In the midst of the lampstands was one like the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the feet, girded about the chest with a golden band. Gird about the paps with a golden girdle. I guess an old English word for chest is paps. Yeah. Hmm. Learn something new every day. And in the midst of the seven candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool, and as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. And his feet like unto you know, his hair was like wool, it says, and his eyes were a flame of fire. My ex-girlfriend Andrea, I don't know if she's changed or what, but she didn't know much about the Bible. She lied a lot. She didn't lie a lot, but she lied about things like she would say that she's read the Bible. When someone says I read the Bible, that means I've read it from cover to cover. When they say that, you know what I mean? And so she said, "Yeah, I've read the Bible before." Like, oh, and then I get to talking to her about the word, and she don't know much. She knows some, but that's why I never say I read the Bible before. I always say I read some of the word before. I'm familiar with the word, or I never claim to have read the Bible. Very few people, as far as I'm concerned, have read the Bible. That means you read it from cover to cover. Anyway, she said that Jesus had copper skin and woolly hair, like in real life. And back then I was real fat because I was into art. Well, I wrote poetry. I didn't paint or draw, but I wrote poetry. And I was like, copper skin and woolly hair. I want to know that. I want to know, where does it say that? I was gonna start becoming a Christian. Remember when I said that I was a vagrant bookworm, and then all my reading led me to the Word? I was. It was around this time when I was going out with Andrea that reading, all my reading was gonna start leading me to the Word. I was just gonna. I hadn't even gotten my feet wet as a Christian, but I was gonna start getting my feet wet with the Word and with church. And at the time, The Passion of the Christ was my favorite movie. I don't think it's my favorite movie anymore because it's like watching I mean, you're watching your Heavenly Father get tortured. It's kind of hard. It's funny because before I gave my life to Jesus, I thought I was giving God honor. I was like, wow, this is my favorite movie, right? And like I said, I was on the path to giving my life to Jesus, and I didn't know it. But watching the Passion of the Christ, I mean, once you fall in love with Jesus, once you declare that love to Jesus, and then you try watching that movie, it's like it's hard to get through. It's really hard to watch, and I haven't seen that movie since I became a Christian. Anyway, Andrea, she said that it said in the Word that Jesus had copper skin and woolly hair. And I was like, wow, where did it say that? I was asking high and low. I asked everyone who knew about the word. I asked pastors and everything. They couldn't tell me. And then right here it's saying that Jesus, right here in this passage, it's saying Jesus had hair of wool. But it said that his skin was white. I think that's what it said. I'm going to go over it again, but that's what it makes me think of. Anyway, his head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, were white like wool. They weren't. He didn't. His hair wasn't wool. It was white like wool. Yeah, as white as snow, and his eyes were like a flame of fire. It also reminds me of me and my friend Steve. Um, we went to New Life. We went to New Life one time. We went to New Life one time. It's another church. It's a rival church. I'm just playing. The all the churches and pretty much all the churches in town get along with each other. Anyway, we went to New Life to go eat breakfast over there, and I remember thinking it's pretty bad, but I remember thinking after we ate, and I was full and falling asleep, and I drank orange juice. I didn't drink any coffee, and the coffee already ran out, so that was too late for that. But man, I ate good. I drank a lot of orange juice, and I was falling asleep. And then the youth pastor was gonna pass a sermon. I didn't know that. I was like, oh, great, great. You know, I'm all sleepy and everything, and I just want to go home and go to sleep. And the youth pastor passed a sermon, and he started talking about how Jesus had how his eyes were as a flame of fire. And I wondered where he got that from. I was like, really? His eyes are a flame of fire? Where is he getting this information from? And this is where he got it from. Revelations 1, verse 14. And his feet were like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and voice as the sound of many waters. And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice was like the sound of many waters. Like I said, I love how descriptive, how the way John describes things. How let's just look at the how his feet were, and his feet were like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace. When brass burns, it's red hot. It's like molten. And it doesn't say he's wearing shoes. It just says his feet. His feet were like unto fine brass, as if burned in a furnace. So wow, he had feet of brass, and his voice was like the sound of many waters. Wow, excuse me, I paused just for a second. I was reflecting on that. His voice was like that of many waters. Trying to think of like, most of the stuff in Revelations I can't relate to. I mean, I'm going over this because it's about Jesus for one. Two, I think it's fascinating, like the verse from Revelations 8:1 about silence. It just fascinates me. That's why I went over it, because it's a verse that fascinates me. A lot of the stuff from Revelations fascinates me, but I mean, a voice as if that of many waters. Think about that. You know, um, yeah, yeah. I'm not even gonna try to elaborate on that because, yeah. Okay, let's see. Okay, and he had in his right hand 7 stars, and out of his mouth went a sharp two-edged sword, and his countenance was as the sun shineth in his strength. And he had in his so this is where the 7 stars come into play. The 7 stars, for those of you who don't know, represent the 7 churches. And out of his mouth went a sharp two-edged sword, and his countenance was as the sun shineth in his strength. The sword coming out of his mouth is the word. The word, because it says in Hebrew that the word is sharper than a two-edged sword. And the fact that it's coming out of his mouth is another clue as to the fact that it's the word. And when I saw him, I fell at his feet as dead. And he laid his hand upon me, saying unto me, Fear not, I am the first and the last. I am he that liveth and was dead, and behold, I am alive forevermore. So this is Jesus. Um, this is Jesus in heaven, rather. Um, yeah, I just think I like that stuff. I don't know what else to say. I don't know how to elaborate on that. All I can say is what it makes me reflect on, and yeah, yeah. All right then. Um, Stay blessed.